Hey guys, Dustin Miller with the PPC Pros. I know everybody talks about remarketing, retargeting, and it can be a little confusing. So I put this video together to go over remarketing in its simplistic form, why you should be using it, the benefits. So we're going to jump into this. I'll even show an example of the return on ad spend from remarketing versus a cold audience. So hang tight and we'll jump right in. Okay, so remarketing. We put together this infographic right here. The idea was that sometimes we talk to prospects or even other PPCs that are a little bit newer. They don't, they know remarketing is powerful. Everybody's talking about it. Sometimes we're talking about Facebook or Google AdWords, but the idea was I wanted to make a real simple format to explain to people who don't quite understand why we go after remarketing audiences either really early in the process if it's a new business, digitally marketing, so maybe they have a good following in other places but they haven't done AdWords or paid traffic yet, and so I usually suggest we start with their current customer list or visitors to their website, things like that. And so this gives a pretty good breakdown into why we suggest it, and also a good visual reference. So as you can see right here, we've got two axes here. We've got the left axis is the cost to acquire a customer, and as you go higher in that axis, you see the cost is increased. And at the bottom, you have an axis to how cold or warm the traffic is, how close people are to knowing your business or having done business with you. And then in the middle there, you start to see how many people potentially, or at least a representation of how many people are in this audience. And so the further down the line you get from cold traffic, you've got the biggest pool of people. You get to warm, you get to subscribers, people who basically didn't buy, and so forth, and the audience just gets smaller and smaller. And so that's the type of audience that you can target. So the idea here typically is your highest return on ad spend for the most part will be on the right side of this graph. That's people who have done business with you before, or brand new customers that are just starting to do business with you and reaching out to them for an upsell, something like that, as well as people who pitch no buy, which, this is mostly, I'm thinking of e-com as well as lead generation. This can apply, but this could be your abandoned carts. This could be people who you talked to, you pitched with a sales presentation, and they didn't buy for whatever reason. This is getting another ad or another opportunity in front of them to convert. As we move further to the left, you've got people who subscribe to you. Maybe they've opted into something. Maybe they follow you on a different channel like YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, something like that, LinkedIn, whatever. You've got warm traffic. These are people who have come to your site. So think of all site visitors, people who may have spent a little bit of time reading a blog post, something like that, but they're not subscribed to you yet. And then of course we got cold traffic, which is straight search traffic or display traffic. This is people who have no idea who you are probably, and maybe you sell widgets online. They're doing a search for widgets and they have not visited your site yet or clicked on an ad. So this is typically, the bottom of the iceberg. This is your, 95 or 97% of the traffic in the world will be cold, which is why we have such a big pool of people here. And then, of course, as I said, as you go along, you're going to see the audience gets smaller. And then, of course, the cost to acquire a customer for people who don't know who you are typically is much greater than people who have already done business with you, because you've already sold them on the idea that they should buy from you. And as long as you have a good product that isn't getting bad reviews, people are unhappy, then usually having them buy again is much easier. I've heard the statistics say that it's 7 times more expensive to sell to a person who hasn't done business with you already than one who has. So, we could see that being pretty accurate in a couple of different campaigns. So the takeaway with this is that there are certain groups you can target with AdWords, even with other channels like Facebook, that you should pay attention to. If you're a business or you have a client who has a really large brand following and you're not doing audience remarketing for different audiences, and usually we break these out. We don't just do, an all visitors list. We do a couple of different segments. You'll see a few of them in just a minute here. This is something you want to really consider and increase your ROAS for just, pennies on the dollar compared to the cold traffic you're getting in other channels. So I'm going to give you an example of how this looks in the real world. This is a client. We'll blur out some of their information, but just to give you an idea on statistics, you can see right here, if you're looking at these columns, this is going to be the last 30 days worth of data, March 26th to April 24th, 2018. There's been $45,000 in conversion value during that time. And you can see conversion value divided by cost. That's return on ad spend. That's what that metric actually is. You can see we've got a 2.28 over the last 30 days, which for this particular client, we're going after volume, and they have a really good profit margin. So this is actually a positive return on investment. But as you can see for the account as a whole, and this includes some of our audiences, we've got about a 2.28 return on ad spend. And now I want to show you a breakout of just the audiences, and you'll be able to see the return on ad spend for those. So that is right here. Same date range. This is just a different group of audiences. We don't have a summary row, but you can get a feel for return on ad spend here. We've got 3.60 return on ad spend, 10.83. Now some of these numbers are relatively small, so I wouldn't take them to the bank. But even on these ones that are a little bit larger, we've got 3.6, 3.7, 6.77. This one's 16.34, and these are several $1,000s in conversion value. So they're actually pretty relevant, and you can tell even if we just looked at those and we ignored the ones that are 30 times 77% or 77 return on ad spend, 19. If we just ignored those, you can see that they're definitely beating our average of 2 point something with these audiences and this revenue already factored in. So using audiences for different segments, you can see we've got all users, we've got all converters, we've got visitors the last 90 days. We've run some similar too that are just, we don't do much with that. Cart viewers, much smaller segment for this particular client. And some visitors of key pages or category pages on the site. It can work really, really well. You just have to implement them, have a strategy for how you get people back into the funnel. Sometimes you can offer them a discount, or you can do other things, limited time offers, to help that conversion rate increase, and really take advantage of this. So if you're not using remarketing audiences, this is another call to action to start using them, take advantage of them. It could be money you're just leaving on the table. So let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.